Well, yesterday was the final release of the highly anticipated Naval Strike DLC, or at least that was meant to be the case. For any of you guys who don't know yet, which I'm sure most of you do, Xbox One users and PC players will now have to wait till April to get their hands on the Naval Strike DLC. And all of this information only came to light yesterday, the day the DLC was meant to be released across all platforms to all premium members. Now, the original reason given as to why we're seeing this delay on PC at least was to do with the commander mode in these brand new maps. Now, since then, DICE have actually come forward and left a statement on Battlelog, which I will leave linked in the description below, explaining as to why we're seeing these delays on the Xbox One and PC, because both are for differing reasons. So for PC players, the reason for the delay is a mixture of a brand new patch and the new DLC. So as we've come to expect with all DLCs in Battlefield 4 now, with inside that downloadable content also comes a fresh patch to fix all the latest issues and problems with the game that usually came around with the last patch to be installed anyway. But DICE are worried that the combination of this brand new patch and the DLC will culminate in some serious performance issues for medium and high-end PC users. And the reason for delay for Xbox One users is down to, and I quote, addressing issues in the animation system that hinder players from engaging targets in set circumstances using popular weapon configurations. So clearly that's down to some of the issues I showed you guys in my Naval Strike weapons video. Of course, all of the weapons for this DLC have been available on PC prior to the DLC's release, something we haven't seen for the Xbox One. Now in that video, if you haven't seen it, basically I showed you guys that if you equip the brand new 3GL launcher onto any primary weapon, your player will immediately start running around holding the weapon above his head, so you can't aim, you can't shoot, practically rendering your player entirely useless. So I'm assuming they are the animation problems we're trying to see be resolved on the Xbox One. Now, as well as this information, DICE have also told us that all Xbox One and PC players will still receive their 2-week exclusive period for premium members. So that means the general release for Naval Strike for all non-premium users is also going to be pushed back depending how long it takes before it's released for premium members. So there will still be that 2-week gap, meaning that non-premium users will have to wait even longer to get their hands on this DLC. Now I want to ask you guys your opinion on this situation, because when the news came to light yesterday, there was a mixed reaction on Twitter. Some people, as you would expect, were very frustrated they weren't getting to play the DLC as promised and on time. But there were also people who were pretty pleased that DICE were taking a responsibility for the issue. They were admitting there was a problem with the DLC, and rather than throwing it out there and letting us deal with a broken DLC and have to just put up with these issues until it was patched in a few weeks' time, they were withholding that and they wanted it to be fixed. So there was a level of quality control that we must admit we haven't seen sometimes with previous DLCs or patches. But that said, at the same time, I'm pretty frustrated and confused as to why we only found out about this information on the day the DLC was meant to be released. Of course, we could have heard about this maybe a week prior, maybe a few days prior. I myself had played this DLC an entire week before its release, and we heard nothing about these issues. So it's kind of frustrating and annoying that we only find out about this the day we are expecting to play this DLC. So it would have been nicer to probably see a little bit better communication between DICE and the consumer. Now, from my friends on the PlayStation 4 who have had access to Naval Strike on time as expected, there have been rumours of some serious balance issues with the carrier assault mode, something to be honest I had been expecting. Now, as I told you guys at the event, there were only about 15 players on either team at maximum moment, so we only had 30 players in a full match. Now, the problems I had seen occurring with this game mode is the fact it's a mixture of Conquest Large and Rush. So for the Conquest Large parts of the match, of course, you want to have as many players as possible. 64-man full service is probably the best, because you don't want to be running around these massive maps and not seeing any enemy players. So you want to get a lot of action and see a lot of players. So big full servers will be very popular. But then, of course, once you've taken all the flags and you're trying to attack the enemy aircraft carrier, it suddenly turns into a very close quarters game of Rush. And that's where all of a sudden 64-man servers may not seem like a good idea. Imagine a 64-man version of Rush on Metro, but the map was suddenly half the size. The inside of the aircraft carriers is very close quarters, very small spaces, and I doubt we will see any matches won by either team taking the objectives, rather just one team running out of tickets. Now the other issue I saw with this game mode is the fact that the defending team, if you've taken the first objective, spawn in the exact same room as the MCOM. So if you're trying to take the BMCOM in the engine room and you kill an enemy player, he will practically spawn right back next to you anyway, so it's going to be very difficult to have a sense of pushing back the enemy team. Now of course you could go to the opposite end of the spectrum and join a small player server, maybe 24 or 32 players, which will mean the rush section of the match will be a little bit more enjoyable, but capturing those flags in the first half of the game will be very quiet and not quite as exciting. Now DICE have tried to remedy this by bringing out two versions of Carrier Assault. There is Carrier Assault Large and Standard Carrier Assault. So of course, if you want to play with less players, I would recommend Carrier Assault, not the large version, but even still, at the event we did play both versions of this game, and even on the smaller version with anything less than probably 48 players, this is still going to be a very quiet game mode in the first half capturing those flags. But anyway guys, that's all I've got time for today. I hope you did enjoy the video. If so, don't forget to hit like and leave all your thoughts and comments below. Are you on PlayStation 4? Are you playing Naval Strike? What are your thoughts so far? And what are your opinions on the fact that Naval Strike has been delayed for Xbox One and PC? Tell me all in the comments below. But in the meantime guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon.